Hello, today's for review I've got FiiO's flagship M15, pretty unusual dub for them in almost every aspect, because everyone used to consider FiiO as a creator of cost-efficient dubs of the middle segment, and releasing the model with price $1,300 was a bit surprising, but actually, based even on the hardware and on the specifications, sound and other stuff, I can say even in advance that it's really worth this price, because they used the most advanced schematics and all the other stuff related to the sound. It's Android dub, so in terms of Android part, it's the same what we've seen before a few times. It's pretty fast Exynos chipset by Samsung, good 7-inch display, 3 GB of RAM, so basically it's still the fastest dub ever. Well, maybe I've tested. Maybe Sony has some fast solutions, but I'm not sure. But it's faster than Aston Kern, Ibasso, Hybe and other creators. So it's really fast, and they've changed the audio part really noticeably. Let me take my iPad and we will look at specs in more details, so I won't forget anything. So Exynos 2 GHz processor and double AK4499 EQ, so it's the same chip that is used in Aston Kern SP2000. They changed the Bluetooth chip, it's now CSR8675, the most advanced chip made by Qualcomm. FPGA they've used, femtosecond oscillator and pretty advanced amplification schema. As far as I know, it was initially an idea of creating M15 Pro with THX AAA amplification, but then FiiO postponed this idea and said that M15 will be their flagship. So big 5-inch screen with 720p resolution, 5 GHz Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0 with transmission and receiving, and as you can see, many codecs are supported, so no issues with codecs. 3 GB of RAM and unfortunately just 64 GB of flash. It's too few for flagship device, but anyway. 300 grams weight, pretty heavy, but still normal. And what is really unusual here is huge battery, 7500 mAh. With quick charge you will need 3.5 hours to charge it. From the other hand, it will give you really impressive work time, about 15 hours from single-ended output, and it's actually the true. You will probably have from 14 to 15 hours on the low gain, and more than 9 hours from the balanced output, and it's also true, 8-9 hours you will get. And at the same time you can see that output power is really huge, 490 milliwatts for 32 ohms from single-ended output, and up to 800 milliwatts for the 32 ohms load from the balanced output. So really big, really impressive figures. Of course, nice separation, low total harmonic distortion, so on and so forth. A bit high output impedance, 1.4 ohms and about 3 ohms, but I didn't find any issue even with low impedance in-ear monitors. So, what I want to say is that actually FiiO spent a lot of resources developing this dub, and actually comparing with Aston Kern's Ultima, I can't say that they have the similar sound, but still, FiiO spent not less resources developing this dub. So basically I think that it's not fair to say FiiO can't create $1,000 dub, it's too expensive. They've created really efficient solution in terms of hardware to price ratio. Unfortunately, due to current quarantine, they ship only small batch worldwide, but I hope everything will settle in China and it will hit the international agents more. Luckily, this one was sent even before the holidays, so no issues with it. It appeared and now I'm ready to tell about it. They've created really sophisticated multi-layered package. So outer box is regular transport box, it's just a cardboard. So nothing fancy, just recycled cardboard. Inside of this box you will have the inner box. Nice polygraphy, really stylish embossing, looks attractive and nice. Inside of that box you will have another box. So third layer, and inside of that box you will have the fourth layer. So traditional for the high-end wooden box with paper strap. So let's remove it. And finally, inside the fourth box you will have your player. So here is the player, and traditionally underneath, if you carefully remove it, you will have the box with the accessories set. This clip to access the micro SD card slot. Let me get everything outside. So different papers, quick start guide, warranty card, coaxial output adapter, USB-C charging cable, and a protective glass. I'm not sure is it created for the front panel or for the back. Actually for the back it suits a bit better, but anyway. Unfortunately there is no cover in the box, even silicone one. I'm not sure why, but anyway, FiiO created really good leather case, designed in the Dignis style, but it's sold separately. So if you thinking about ordering M15, just probably add $50 more to get the case. It looks really attractive, and I think it really worth that. Just check out this attention to details and take a look how fun they created this screen cover. It shows the internal schema of the DAB. It's really nice touch. In terms of the design, they once again changed their paradigm, and player looks more like M9 or previous models of FiiO, not like M11 and M11 Pro, and I think it's a nice idea to separate them via the design. It also reminds a bit some Sony DABs, but done in FiiO style. It's solid, it's built of aluminium, rectangle with rounded edges. Feels really nice in hands thanks to these sides on the both, to these parts on the both sides. So it's really well in terms of hold. It definitely won't slip from your hand, so you will have a decent grip. Of course, they remember about those who prefer hardware controls, so here is on-off button, 3 buttons for the tracks navigation, and additional programmable button. You can change its function in the menu. I will show it a bit later. Also, they've added a hold switch, so nice touch for those who worry about the accidental presses inside of pocket. On the up side there is a volume control, and actually they've made it hybrid, so it's analog potentiometer. You rotate it and its signal is interpreted via analog to digital converter, and this digital figure that the schema gets after the rotating this potentiometer will be used to change the volume. So you will have that nice feeling of the analog knob, and at the same time you will have a perfect channel match. Also there is a LED indicator. I will show it a bit later when I will turn it on. It can change the color and brightness based on the volume level. And there are 3 outputs, so single-ended and 2 balance, so 2.5mm and Pentacon. And luckily now you will have all 3 with these gold rings, so they all look identically. On the bottom there is one slot for the microSD card. Unfortunately they didn't do second one, just use this place to write dual AK4499. And USB-C. It can be used for charging, you can use it as digital to analog converter, you can use it as a digital transport, you can access the internal memory, so all that stuff that you can expect from the modern DAW. Back panel is covered with carbon-like plastic, so let's peel it off. Looks also pretty stylish and nice in terms of texture. So it's a bit on the bigger side, but actually not much bigger than M11 Pro, so just few millimeters bigger, and thanks to these rounded sides it even looks a bit thinner. So let's turn it on. Almost the whole front panel is occupied by the big 5-inch screen. It looks really attractive. Edges are a bit rounded, probably it's not the modern 2.5D, but a bit rounding is present here, so looks attractive. Actually it's not the maximum brightness, of course. So screen is nice, it's bright, has good resolution, decent viewing angles. So probably you've seen this screen before in other FiiO's DAWs, but it's still pretty okay. Of course it's not 1080p, but 720p I think it's enough for the player. And actually you see that they created this wallpaper with a similar design and it looks really stylish. I really suppose they will release the similar wallpapers for all other DAWs. So, in terms of design and build quality, I think it's really solid and mature looking device with FiiO's own touch. In terms of firmware, it's Android 7 and unfortunately there is no Google Play service pre-installed, but actually there is a good news. On Russian forums appeared the unlock for the M11 and M11 Pro, and for them now available patches to enable root access, and probably having Play Store installed is a matter of a few next days or maybe weeks, and I'm pretty sure that all that patches will be ported to the M15 too. Of course it's not as convenient as just having it working out of the box, but it's Google's restriction, because Android 7 is maximum available version for this system on chip, and Google just not allowing Google Play services run on the Android 7. But luckily there are third-party developers who can do that. Anyway, it's pretty familiar Android with a few tweaks, so FiiO a bit retuned the settings menu, making it a bit more convenient. So as you can see, now you can select pure music mode, USB digital to analog converter mode, so you can activate it and then use it as digital to analog converter. So let's go back to the Android mode, and Bluetooth receiving mode looks pretty much the same. So let's go back to Android mode. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth transmission, so it's pretty familiar. More settings, it's VPN and tethering, not sure is it necessary for the DAW. Audio settings, so output selection, phone out or line out, SPDIF out if you need it, gain, high or low, low pass filter mode, so all filters that supported by the chipset, by digital to analog converter, Bluetooth codec, the one that you need, actually. Channel balance, all to DSD upsampling, nice option, improving a little bit treble, but but pretty consuming battery. Over-ear headphone mode, I think it's by this name is hidden. Should it respond to the talk control button on the headphones or not, but actually I can be wrong. Adjustable volume at line out and AirPlay mode. I don't know why they put it here, but when you activate it, it just will be in the AirPlay receiving mode. So I think there will be more sense adding it here, but anyway. Display, so brightness level, wallpaper, and you can tweak indicator here. So let's make it constantly on, and if we change the volume, it became brighter. So under bright studio light it's not as visible as in more dim condition, but anyway, so I just keep it off. Brightness level you can select, and should it follow the volume. So few interesting options to play with. Font style, display style, so everything is pretty familiar here. And all other settings is just regular Android, so multifunction button in the generals. You can select add to favorites, play next randomly, delete the currently playing song, switch filter, switch equalizer, enter Bluetooth receiving mode or digital to converter mode. Not sure which of these options will be more useful. Power off timer, navigation style, so gesture control or bottom navigation bar, short intro if you need. So hold switch settings, should something be working on hold. So double tap to wake up, disable charging if you need it. In vehicle mode will show the big controls for the player. So here everything is pretty traditional, but of course the main application, of course, well, before I proceed to FiiO Music, they also created separate application with applications. So let me turn the Wi-Fi on. It will connect to the network. Will it? Yes. So it will connect to the network, and they have their own small store. So you can just download and install applications from FiiO store, so you no need to bother with Google Play services in many cases. Actually, the only usage of Google Play services is to install UAPP and Plex. If you need these applications, they use Play Store to check their license. Besides that, all other applications can be installed here, so no need to worry. And of course, the heart of everything is FiiO Music. We've seen it before a few times also, it's pretty familiar, but let me quickly show it, maybe if someone haven't seen any FiiO dubs before. So now playing screen, big album cover, tracks navigation, additional menu with basically all that you will need. So let's try to turn the car mode, you can see big controls. And track navigation, scrolling, play order, add to favorites, add to playlist, information about this currently play. Actually, it's current playlist. No, here is now playing list, and actually what is that? Okay, sorry, I figure out, it's all the tracks by this artist, so I was a bit confused. And if we move back, here is media library, so local music, playlists, DLNA if you need it, and list of recently played tracks. And what? So playlists, favorites and custom ones, and local music is traditional media library, all tracks in one list. by artists, by albums, by genre and folder browser. So dub is pretty fast, so as you can see, fast scrolling, fast covers loading, so working pretty smoothly. Of course, there is mass management available, so you can delete tracks, add them to current playing queue and so on. As usual, pretty good search and basic settings. So sleep timer, resume, should it, actually I need this, resume last song or position, scan for music, design theme, do you need custom background or it should be dynamic based on the album cover, equalizer, just fairly basic graphical equalizer, FiiO link, it's nice feature so you can remotely control your dub from the smartphone or vice versa, gapless playback, play through folders, auto access to, I don't remember to what, and they truncated this caption a little bit, so lock screen album art, replay gain, necessary feature if you have some compilations with different volume, USB output, HWA codec activated here, automatically search for lyrics when it's on Wi-Fi, separate switch to turn on the MQA, currently it supports only with internal player, but later it will be added to the Tidal. Wi-Fi music transfer, nice feature, but I don't know why they put it here, so you know, different options located in different places. Wi-Fi music transfer, nice convenient thing. Languages, reset database, Bluetooth device control, as with other devices made by FiiO, you can control their Bluetooth BTR3, BTR5, EH3NC and some other Bluetooth devices, and of course exit. There is a pure music mode that I prefer using, so in this mode you will have only dub, no access to the desktop, so it's more focused on the music. I didn't find any difference in terms of sound quality in the pure music mode or in battery lifetime. It's just a bit more convenient, so you turn it on and it starts with music. And what I like here about this dub as well as other FiiO's dubs is that they are really efficient in power management. So you just pause it in the evening and you put it on shelf, and it doesn't drain battery overnight. So in the morning you just hit play and it will start playing. Actually, the only minor problem with this firmware is that it doesn't have digital volume indicator, so you can get the idea of the current volume looking on this mark on the knob, but indicator here on the screen is pretty basic, so just adding few additional waves. But actually FiiO already developed better version of the firmware available with more detailed volume indicator, so it will be fixed really soon. Besides that, it's familiar FiiO's firmware, built really nicely. They solidified their code base and they really creating really efficient solutions in terms of software now. A small correction for the previous part, this over-ear headphone mode, actually it's not what I've said, it's the high power mode for the full-size headphones with additional power, so nice touch to add it, so we can drive tough to drive planar headphones or high impedance models, and nice touch to move it to separate options so it won't drain battery if it's not necessary. Sorry again for my mistake. And of course about the sound, the most interesting aspect of every single dub, and let's have some in-ear monitors on the table. Today I've got Campfire Audio Andromeda Gold, just to serve as an illustration, but actually it's a nice pairing. One of the most noticeable improvements of this dub for me is blacker background. It's not totally black like SP2000, but it definitely has less background noise than both M11. and it's quite even with Andromeda Gold, just a bit of noise with Solaris, but just a tiny bit. So in terms of black background, pretty okay. And in terms of tuning, FiiO also made a bit unusual thing. They made a step aside from their M11's tuning, so they didn't make this player focused on the micro detailization and focused on the maximum resolution. They just created in a more musical and engaging in terms of representation. Maybe it's logical because they've also already got totally monitoring and natural M11 with maximum resolution as a focus, and here they've added a bit weight, they've added a bit more. Actually, it's it's not probably correct to call it warm, because it's not warm per se. It's just bit adding weight and bit body probably, and actually not only on lows but also on mids and actually on treble too. So it's full-bodied dub with bit highlighted analog sounding. Probably it can be summarized this way. There is not much reviews available for the M15 yet, few initial impressions, unpackings, first looks and so on. And in some reviews there is an opinion that reviewers expected more from this dub. Probably I didn't have such a high set bar, so for me this player definitely worth this price. I rarely say so, but for me it's just on par with other dubs in this price range, and just don't expect SP2000 performance. Despite having same digital to analog converters, Aston Kern knows some mystery about sound tuning. But in this price range it's really competitive, but probably let's describe the sound step by step. So bass is good, it's fast, but actually it's not trying to be the fastest ever, and anyway it's more focusing on the delivering kick, on the delivering, not sure, kick, punch, whatever, on delivering impact, on delivering textures, on delivering body. So it's, bass that is trying to be a bit more natural than it's in real life. So it's a bit highlighting that tiny nuances that separate natural bass. Maybe it's not 100% audiophilic way of representing everything absolutely natural and totally uncolored, but it's really engaging coloration. Of course, it goes really deep, it's controlled well, it has a hell lot of power to control almost everything, so there won't be issues with bass control, and it's pretty universal. It's working good with electronic music, but of course it shines the most with some real instruments, or how to name them. So, as an example, I've got Diablo Swing Orchestra. If you like heavy music and if you like something unusual, Diablo Swing Orchestra is one of the greatest bands ever. And for in the Gunpowder Chant they used probably it's didgeridoo in the beginning, and this low going instrument with lot of reverberations, with lot of unusual tones, with a lot of layering in the low frequencies area, and this player managed to render it really nicely, and thanks to this a bit additional coloration, this instrument sounding really really organic, really natural, really engaging, so you definitely enjoy it with proper in-ear monitors. Mids are also made in similar style, in similar vein. It's not trying to render all the tiniest details, so it's not focused on the micro contrast, but of course resolution is really good. Maybe it's not the most resolving comparing with high-end dubs, but its resolution is still okay. It's hard sometimes to be a reviewer when if I say like resolution is not maximum, everyone will say, oh, it's not resolving, so it's a bad dub. No, it's not. It has enough resolution and it will render all the tiniest nuances and details, but it won't highlight them. It won't try to throw them right in your face. It won't try to to grab every single issue with record and throw it to you. So it's a bit forgiving, but of course it requires some well-recorded tracks to unveil its full potential. Imaginary stage is noticeably above average, both in width and in depth. It's not the biggest one. It's Ultima, for example. Actually, all three Ultimas are bigger, but it's definitely not the smallest one in this price range. So pretty good three-dimensional stage. Bit bigger in width than in depth, but depth is also normal and everything is rendered in 3 dimensions pretty okay. Maybe a bit better layering in depth would be a plus, but it's, you know, it's not like an issue, it's just my wish. And especially it shines with female vocals. I don't know why, but actually it do something with female vocals, highlighting it and representing them, rendering them in absolutely stunning way. So that's why, as an example, for the mid frequencies, I've got one of the best albums of female vocals that I've got in my collection. It's Leïla Martial and a track named Dance Floor. Really great recorded, both vocal and all accompanying instruments, and sounding really realistic. It will definitely give you a shivers with the proper in-ear monitors, and it's done in spectacular and emotional way. And treble here, it has a really good extension, normal layering, not the best one, but normal. You know, always speaking about this dub, I'm always comparing it in my mind with SP2000, and of course SP2000 wins here, but not in the price to quality ratio, of course, just in absolute measurement. So normal layering, really good overtone saturation, really good realistic attacks and decays. Treble just a bit, you know, not aggressive, done in not aggressive way. At the same time, they are not smooth, just a bit less energy put in the treble area to sounding better with not properly recorded tracks and so on. But at the same time, overtone saturation is nice, resolution is really good, and of course it's not lacking in terms of quantity. Well, frequency response is totally flat, of course. Just a bit shifted towards more polite way of treble representation. And as an example for the treble, and you know, actually switching this all to DSD setting will noticeably improve treble here, but battery life will be sacrificed also in a noticeable way. So I'm keeping it off because few additional hours of work for me it's a bigger plus. Well, anyway, we need to go for some compromises always. And as an example, I've got one of the greatest male vocals this time, and it's Jesus Christ Superstar. I only want to say Ian Gillan, perfect, absolutely perfect. I think that it's the best version of this track, and I listen many other versions of this rock opera, but no one can be compared with the king. Anyway, I selected this track mainly not because of Gillan's vocals, but sometimes they go really high and have a lot of overtones, but because of nicely recorded guitars in the introduction and in the main part, and orchestral part is also nice here, and it has a lot of overtones. It goes really high to the treble area, So this track is a tight test for this part of sonic spectrum, and it managed to represent this dub managed to represent it in nice and organic way. In terms of driving power, it's also really good. So with both sides of spectrum, with sensitive in-ear monitors, it's pretty nice, and with power-hungry cans, it's also will deliver more than enough power. And of course, about the comparisons, I will need more time to provide the detailed comparisons, so I will probably create more detailed video later, but meanwhile just few brief comparisons based on sound only. Of course, it's noticeable step from the M11 Pro. It's a bit less focused on the micro contrast comparing with M11 Pro, but at the same time it's sounding more organic, more natural and more engaging. So if you like such step and signature, it will be a nice option for you. And in this price range there are a few other competitors, of course. iBasso DX220 with stock amp is more resolving and focused on the micro detalization, but it's thinner on the mids with less added weight, so it's just more monitoring and natural representation. With amp 9 it's shifted towards the warmer side, it's a bit more warmer. And with amp 8 it's pretty close in terms of representation, but this one is a bit more organic and a bit better in treble layering, well, at least to my ears. KN-N6 Mark II, I actually listen it with T01 module, and it's more emotional, it's more highlighting emotions, it's more forward, and I'd probably call its representation more rough, so it's just more highlighting emotions and just trying to show them bigger. And recently released Aston Kern SA700, it's more mid-focused, it's all about the mids with signature Aston Kern coloration, but lows and treble here represented in a better way. So to summarize everything, in my opinion, FiiO created a really decent competitor in this price range. Player has some drawbacks like no Google Play services, but it can be fixed soon. And anyway, it's really good in terms of sound, so don't expect some, the best dub. In this segment all dubs are really good, and so it's a matter of your taste, what you prefer. But FiiO really managed to create a nice and organic sounding dub. It actually reminds a little bit Ultima SP2000, but Ultima does everything a bit better, so it's like Ultima on minimal settings, but it's still really good results. So I really like this dub, and I will spend more time with it, and probably I will create another comparison video. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.